Today there are important developments from Belarus. Here, troops are moving toward the border, military preparations are accelerating, and Lukashenko is urgently mobilizing the population, openly saying that Belarus is preparing for war. Even without the strength for a full northern penetration, this second axis could still force Ukraine to divert resources away from the main front. Russia's spring offensive failed to restore the initiative, as advances in the east fell to historically low levels, despite costly assaults that delivered little in return. That left Moscow with a growing strategic problem, because if the main push was no longer producing results, it needed another way to apply pressure. Belarus offers exactly that, since even without a major offensive from the north, the threat from this axis can still force Ukraine to spread its resources more thinly. The concern becomes more serious because these warnings are backed by visible preparations on the ground. Roads are being built toward Ukrainian territory, making it easier to move forces and sustain them if this axis becomes active. Artillery positions are also being established inside Belarus, creating the basis for fire support for localized attacks. With troop buildup reported near the border as well, the picture is starting to look less political and more like a threat that is steadily becoming more serious. An equally important signal is the reported strengthening of Belarusian air defense at the same time. Earlier this year, reports said Belarus had received new S-400 support vehicles, while a 96th L6 radar was deployed near Brest, close to the Polish border. The Institute for the Study of War also noted that Belarusian forces were continuing to strengthen the joint air defense network with Russia, showing that Belarus was becoming more tightly integrated into Russia's military system. Together, these steps show Minsk tightening its defenses as the wider buildup on the ground continues. Lukashenko's own statements reinforced that picture, as earlier in April, he said there could be no peaceful time and that Belarus was preparing for war. Later, he said citizens should mobilize quickly and warned of a difficult period ahead, while refusing to say exactly what they should prepare for. This is the language of a regime preparing society for mobilization and making it easier to impose call-ups and wartime restrictions should tensions rise further. Kiev's response shows it is treating this as more than propaganda, with President Volodymyr Zelensky saying Belarus is preparing for war with Ukraine and ordering warnings to be sent to the Belarusian leadership, stating that Ukraine is ready to defend itself. That message was consistent with Ukraine's broader position, already reflected in February sanctions against Lukashenko and Belarusian entities for materially aiding Russia's war effort. Ukraine is responding to the current buildup on the understanding that Belarus is not a neutral bystander, but a state already integrated into Russia's war effort. Still, the military picture points to limited pressure from Belarus and not a full-scale offensive. The buildup described earlier, with roads being built, artillery positions taking shape, stronger air defense, and troop regrouping near the border, points to a posture suited to intimidation, border clashes, and smaller offensive actions, while still falling short of the force concentration and logistical depth needed for a major northern campaign. The more immediate danger, therefore, is not a renewed drive on major cities, but an escalation meant to pull Ukrainian forces away from key sectors and force a redistribution of combat power. Overall, the significance of Belarus lies less in what it can achieve on its own than in how it changes the strategic choices available to Moscow. By turning the northern border back into a live military variable, Russia gains a way to inject uncertainty into Ukrainian planning at a moment when its direct offensive options remain constrained. For Lukashenko, that means moving closer to open participation in the war, with all the military and political exposure that follows. The real danger, therefore, is that Belarus is no longer just supporting Russia's campaign, but helping prepare the conditions for its next phase. If you would like to explore other key developments today that we couldn't cover in this video, make sure to visit our interactive news map. The link to our interactive map is in the description below. Thank you for watching this update, and a special thanks to everyone already following our interactive map.